please.
So, I'm Steve Ross, Deputy Town Manager.
James Earthman.
And I'm Teresa Harless. I'm the Director of Human Resources.
Teresa, pleasure to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. So this complaint I have against your chief of police has to do with a town council meeting I attended last month. And after the meeting, I had engaged the chief in a conversation regarding the criminal charges brought against me by two of his officers. And he very loudly and vocally announced across the lobby downstairs in front of everyone that was within earshot that I had been convicted of a crime. And that's not the case. The charges were dismissed because there was no evidence to support a conviction.
Okay.
After I insisted that my rights had been violated, and I cited the United States Supreme Court rulings and quotes from the written opinion of the courts that my rights had been violated. He insisted that I'd been convicted of that crime very loudly. That's a slanderous accusation. I take great offense to it when it's made in a public place in front of a group of people that I don't know. So I'm filing an official complaint against the chief. And that conversation was recorded, very well documented, just as this is.
Okay.
So just so we're absolutely clear, it's a slanderous accusation that had no foundation of fact. When I was granted a retrial, the previous judgment is set aside. It doesn't exist. That's my understanding.
Okay.
And again, I did leave victorious. Again, the judge ruled that there was no evidence to support a conviction, and he dismissed it with prejudice. Okay? So again, I take great offense to it.
Okay.
And I also want to make certain that we're on the same page. One of the things that, again, on a different note here, one of the things that I'm concerned about this criminal charge that I had to defend myself against was there's absolutely no evidence to support a conviction in this police report. There's nothing in here that rises to the level of a criminal charge. Nothing. So with the town and the police insisting that their men did nothing wrong, and the courts indicating that they did, and me insisting that they did, I need to know what I did wrong, if I did something wrong according to them and the town, so that I don't repeat myself. Because I know that I've repeated myself with regards to what's in this.
Now, what is that?
This is a police report by Officer Green.
Is that the original
It
charges?
is. It is. Would you like a copy of it? I'd be more than happy. I think it would be necessary.
Why don't we make copies?
We can make
I think it would be
copies, but
necessary.
the criminal charges are not.
Yeah.
That's more in the courts
Well, see, that's already over with.
realm. Right.
That's already over with.
Right.
And I came to the meeting to appeal to the town council that these men have done something very, very wrong, extremely wrong. They decided that my words weren't acceptable to them, and they created a narrative to secure an arrest warrant that includes inciting violence against the police, as it's written in the statute. Now, we know that that's not true because the officer waited 3 days, and he waited and got the warrant at 3:30 in the morning, 3 days later. Not in the middle of the afternoon, on a Saturday afternoon, when the interactions took place. He waited until several days at 3:30 in the morning before he secured this warrant for disorderly conduct. A man that he claims was inciting violence against the police. And that's a serious charge, because I didn't do anything remotely close, nor have I ever, nor would I ever. I've never incited violence against anyone. But I absolutely have criticized the poor performance when I've seen it. I've done it in restaurants with a poor tip, and I've done it in public with words. I've also done it with my checkbook by not shopping at places. Now, when it comes to government, there's not much you can do, but you can criticize them with words, and that's embedded in the First Amendment. And we are to do that without fear of retaliation and arrest, and that's embedded in the Supreme Court rulings of this very same thing. The Virginia statute of disorderly conduct is very broad. The courts have ruled it's too broad, and they've narrowed the scope of what can be considered disorderly conduct all across the country. Virginia is part of that. And for them to simply dismiss that, ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, that's what they did right there. They decided that my words were offensive and they were going to punish me for them. And instead of going to his supervisor to report the victim here, the victim, Officer Tubert, went to his uncle, Captain Tubert, to facilitate this whole farce. The immediate supervisor, Sergeant Ellis, knew nothing about this. 3 weeks later, this warrant was served on me 3 weeks later. I'm in this town every single day, all day. And I see an Officer Rowe, I see him at 1 or 2 or 3 other different Starbucks around town almost every single day because he's a creature of habit. He gets his coffee pretty methodically at the same time. He just goes to different places. And I bump into him. I've seen him looking straight in the eyes while I had a warrant for my arrest for disorderly conduct. So this wasn't a legitimate prosecution. This was a malicious, retaliatory prosecution. There's no other way to think about it. Any critical thinker can read through this and come to the same conclusion based on the facts.
Are these our copies, or do you want?
I'd like you to make a copy if you'd like a copy. Now, I did send an email out to the entire town council. I don't know if they received it. I don't know if my email may be blocked. I've exchanged several emails with your town attorney, and he's just dismissed me as...
Okay.
So I plan on coming back to the next town council meeting. I exhausted my 3 minutes and didn't really get much out other than who I am and the general idea of why I'm here.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm going to be just coming back to the town council meetings to, again, explain myself, you know.
Yeah, that's fine, and we will look into your allegations with the chief. So
Yeah.
we will definitely look into that.
Yeah. And, you know, Larry Spencer said the same thing in an email to me. That all he knows is that you were convicted, you requested a new trial, and it was dismissed. And that's fine. But when the chief of police